That's why I thought it was gonna be a lot of people here.
Just hang tight, guys. The meeting's not going to start for about 4 more minutes, but be sure and share it. Hopefully we're going to have captions tonight. Hopefully that'll help here. But just hang tight.
Oh, God, oh, oh. I'm still rebel. Oh.
Lord, we love you and we thank you for your goodness in our life. We thank you for a cool evening in Mineral Wells, Texas, for every drop of rain that we've received over the last couple of days. We just thank you for people who selflessly serve the city and all of its citizens. First responders, we just pray your protecting hand to be upon all of them. Just bless us with your presence and your guidance in this meeting tonight. Thank you for the freedom that we enjoy, the opportunity to gather, take care of our business tonight. We give you praise and thanks in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Please join us for the pledges. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Forward with some pause for the items for individual consideration.
Yes, Mayor and members of the council, if it pleases the council, we'd like to pull item number 12 from the agenda. And as a consequence of that, it will not be necessary for you to entertain items 10 and 11 in the executive session.
Have a motion of support.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes 7-0. Item number 1, consider and take appropriate action on an ordinance adopting the budget for the city of Mineral Wells for the fiscal year October 1, 2023 through September 30th, 2024.
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of the council, as you recall, it's been quite a challenging process over these many months. We appreciate the council's participation and input in our budget workshops and sessions. And, the staff, the department heads work very diligently to bring this budget to you. As it stands before you tonight for consideration, all the requirements pursuant to the charter and the adoption of the budget have been met. There is an ordinance that you'll find on page 5 of your packet that accompanies, that has been prepared for the adoption of the fiscal year 2023-24 annual budget.
I know we've all discussed this ad nauseum over the last couple of months. Is there anything further before we proceed with the pleasure of the council?
Yes, Mayor, I would once again commend the city manager and the staff for, as best I can tell, addressing the concerns of this council with regard to our personnel issues. I know it's lean in nearly every area, especially with any capital purchases with regard to general fund, but I really believe you did an excellent job in hearing us and trying to get salaries and personnel situation to a more tolerable level. So I'm looking forward to a great year, and I just would again want to say thank you, Dean and staff, for doing all we could do, helping us do all we could do to take care of our people. I appreciate it very much.
If not, we proceed with the pleasure of the council.
Make a motion, we approve the ordinance setting forth an itemized estimate of the expenses of conducting each fund for the municipal government of the city of Mineral Wells, Texas, for the period of time beginning October 1st, 2023, and terminating September 30th, 2024, as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
We need a
Motion
record
passes
vote.
7-0. We did a record vote. Okay.
Tomlin,
Aye.
Mulder, Kelly,
Aye.
Mitchell,
Aye.
Watson,
Aye.
Light.
Aye.
Item number 2, consider and take appropriate action on a resolution ratifying the increase in property tax revenue reflected in the approved fiscal year 2023-2024 budget.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. Due to the fact that we are increasing the tax rate from last year, we need a resolution to that effect. Do you have any questions? We've also discussed this, I believe, in previous council meetings, so if you do have any questions.
Questions or discussion, comments from the council? Okay, the pleasure.
I make a motion, we adopt a resolution of the City of Mineral Wells, Texas, ratifying the property tax revenue increase reflected in the fiscal year 23-24 budget in accordance with section 102.007C of the local government code.
I second.
Karen, do we need record for this one?
No.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes 7-0. Item number 3, consider and take appropriate action on an ordinance levying ad valorem property taxes on property in the city of Mineral Wells for fiscal year 2023-2024.
Associated with the resolution that we just approved, we do need a motion with the bolded language that is in your agenda packet. I believe it's page 138 regarding the increase in property tax rate.
It's the pleasure of the council. The motion is near the bottom of that page, 138.
I move that the property tax rate be increased by the option of a tax rate of 0.5939000 cents, which is effectively a 10.10% increase in the tax rate.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes 7-0. Item number 4, consider and take appropriate action on an ordinance amending water and sewer rates beginning November 1, 2023.
Am I taking this one? Sure. Thank you so much. So as we have discussed, previous budget workshops, water and sewer revenue is going to be increased based on the 146% increase in water rates and a 3.8% increase in the sewer rates. Again, this is to cover the much awaited and much needed Turkey Peak Reservoir, the pipeline upgrades, Porter's Complex, reuse, and new treatment plant? New treatment plant, yes. If you have any questions, please let me know.
And as previously discussed, and our attorneys had to move the meeting back to next Monday, but we will have that joint resolution for the consideration of the council and the Water District Board regarding these improvements, the timeline, the schedule, everything that's been put forward. There is a separate resolution and an ordinance that will follow related to the $12 million SWIFT funding that the district received recently to put that in place. These water rates incorporate those values, those debt service amounts necessary. And as we've also previously mentioned, given our drought situation, and so next Tuesday I will provide you at your regularly scheduled council meeting an update on the water situation, the lake remains at the stage 3, below the stage 3 level. And so there is some council action that will be necessary to enact some of the stage 3 restrictions and curtailments. So next Tuesday, you will have some of this matter before you for your consideration, but those things are on the horizon and relate to this matter and these rates. And it has been planned out. We brought it to your attention previously, the cost associated with this equipment to treat water directly from the Brazos. And so everything at this time will have the cost quotes in hand by next Thursday. And so we will move forward with the stage 3 contingency, all the while working with the district. And that's the purpose of this joint resolution, to set the timeline and set the record straight on the plan of action moving ahead.
Comments from the council?
Well, once again, this has been a very long process. Well, I know a lot of my constituents maybe don't fully understand. I don't like the amount of the increase, but I can't not support this because I have a vision and a future for the city of Mineral Wells, and without water, that's not gonna happen. So, once again, probably one of the first major tasks that we've asked of Dean was to pick up this water discussion that was ongoing when he moved into the position of city manager. So once again, here we are. It's decision day now. I don't particularly like the phrase, "we've run out of road to kick the can down," but I've heard that many times. And sadly, it is true. You've all heard me sit right here and say before, it would have been really nice if some of this had been bitten off 20 years ago, some of it 10 years ago, but it wasn't. So today, we not only need to complete a reservoir, Winter Storm Uri let us know we need to have a new water treatment plant, and we all know that the distribution infrastructure in our city, most of it is as old as the city. And so here we are needing to have a plan to do most of it. It seems like all at once, but we must. And so Dean, thank you for getting us to today.
Dean, you discussed the agreement that the city and the water district are going to work on based on, which basically is going to sort of hammer out ownership of the resource. And that is a question that I see a lot of concern about, even from reasonable people. And I guess I'm reading from this email that we corresponded with earlier today. But basically, in really simple language, could y'all line out who has rights to water from Lake Palo Pinto moving forward? Who will have rights to Turkey Peak moving forward? And because, I mean, there was a study, just one example of where people could get maybe false information. There was a study done by the Upper Trinity Groundwater Conservation District where they mentioned both the city and Turkey Peak as a possibility for water for Parker County, and y'all said the city wasn't even consulted on that study, so that's just information out there. But could you address that just in simple language about what y'all plan to hammer out?
So yes, Councilperson Watson, and that is the purpose of this big meeting in Dallas on Monday with all of our attorneys, district, the city, relevant to the subject matter experts, not necessarily general counsel, our engineers, bond counsel, finance, some of the people that have been before this very body and have been in concert with the Water District Board, not speaking on their behalf. David Turk's here, the president of the board, he's welcome to chime in. But in simplistic terms, that is exactly what we will come back away from Monday's meeting with, is those agreements that are necessary to ensure the people of this community and everyone that has an interest in this water situation where everything is, the same way we've laid it out in legal context. As far as, the ownership, be it contracted or otherwise, of Turkey Peak proper, as the city is prepared to take on that debt, partnership with the district, those are the nuances that we need to work through, because as has been brought to our attention from bond counsel, that Turkey Peak and that project and that 404 permit that district obtained is tied to a 1981 agreement between the city of Mineral Wells and the Palo County Municipal Water District Number 1. We've all read it, we understand it, it's been amended 7 times to date since 1981 for various and sundry purposes, including the Hilltop Water Treatment Plant. So whether we have to amend that to specifically address your points and the points of the email earlier, or if we can amend and restate an agreement similar to what we've done with some of the water contracts with our wholesale customers that have a vested interest in this. Again, unfortunately, our attorneys as a group, we just had to move it back a little bit out of this window. This window that's before you is statutory charter, but we will have that meeting and those 2 gentlemen will be there, and we'll come back with the exact legal essence of what is required, but we will have those statements of fact before you. Not simple, sorry.
One more question. The mayor hosted a meeting with some of the wholesale customers on last Friday. Do you have any sense of what that would look like for them? Because some people came, obviously they don't have an ownership right, but does this affect the wholesalers? This process affect the wholesalers in any way, good, bad, or indifferent?
I mean, I can't speak for the wholesalers at all. The water rate that's before you for consideration is the rate necessary to support the debt service for the capital improvement projects listed that are necessary and essential. The wholesalers did incorporate, and I showed this council, the surcharge to remove a new public works complex from their cost, so to speak. Additionally, there's some lift stations that are related to sewer that have been removed additionally, so that those become surcharge on city retail customers in town only that are affected by those. But the rate that is borne in the first year of this rate schedule is a rate that is necessary to begin the capital improvement projects necessary to continue to advance the construction and beyond Turkey Peak, as well as starting the Brazos pump station and the pipeline upgrades that we know TCQ was verified by engineers as our weakest link, if you will, in our water treatment process. It is the thing we got dinged on, is the thing that put us out of compliance with serving the needs of the wholesalers, because prior administrations thought they had a 12 million gallon a day plant, and it is in fact, and has been confirmed by a certified engineer in the state, that is an 8 million gallon a day plant. We have overpromised, we have contractually committed, and yet we have to do these things to back that up. So to that end, the impact on the wholesalers in the near term, based on the schedule our engineers provided that we plan and we will stick to, we have to remedy those deficiencies in our system so we can make every one of our wholesalers whole, whether they want to be a part of the solution or hold what they got. We will restore that plant to what everybody thought it would be, and going forward from there, having a supply of water so that, this was a 50-year water supply in Lake Palapina. It's been in print. That water treatment plant was a 50-year water treatment plant. Those dates have come and gone, and here we are a decade later back in a drought yet again. And the question has been, what's the plan? You said you wanted this plan. We had a joint meeting with that district board. They've been very supportive partners in this endeavor. Here's your plan. Here's your cost. I don't like it. And the one thing I want to emphasize, and I've told you this repeatedly, we're not going to stop seeking funding assistance. Howard and I have a meeting with the USDA on that water treatment plant and this effluent reuse, because that's the new program du jour. And any assistance we get, if we get some funding assistance, you can mark my word, we will be back here with our rate consultant, reducing that rate down. Right now, what's before you is the cost as it is projected, the rate that's necessary to do that. So, you know, from an optimistic point, if people want to look at this as doom and gloom, that's their business. But from an optimistic standpoint, we're very confident within the next 3 years, all things being equal, I mean, the world's gone nuts on the economy and everything, that, you know, we'll be able to get that rate into a manageable level. But either way you cut it up, $287 million is a heck of a big chunk. And what do you do without it? I gave this council, you know, a decision point, not a challenge point. What do you want me to do? Because I had to put together a budget. You can hold what you got. We can add $16.44 to every 1,000 gallons used, and we can keep RO and we can stay in water coming out of the Brazos, $1 million a month. That hasn't changed. Plan B, which was your direction to me, was be able to embrace the cost of that RO treatment necessary in this drought and continue to advance projects so that we don't fall into the trap of 2014-15 where, you know, we're getting a bunch of stuff ready and all of a sudden the heavens opened up, we got a ton of rain, everything filled up and it stopped. Well, I'm not gonna stop. That's not what you told me to do. But your vote tonight, depending on your decision, again, determines what we do next. And we will do something one way or another, no matter your decision.
Going down the line, so I think I'll say something. Can you add much to what Joel and Dean and Gareth have said? A lot of people have looked at this project for a long time. It hasn't been that long since we've been able to really take action on this project. We've got a lot of red tape up front, but we are to the point where it's time to really put our noses to the grindstone and take action and make it happen. So I appreciate all the work y'all have done. You guys over there in the water department, just keep it up, and I'm ready to go. Did I have to?
No, I wanna commend all y'all, just like everybody else has said, and the things that I'm really pleased with the 7 capital improvement projects. One of them I'm still honestly a little bit on the fence about, but I'm very pleased, as I've learned more and I've gotten more educated in this in the first 120 days here. Of the reused water deal, that additional 1 million gallons a day offset that takes load off of existing Lake Palapino and will take load off of Turkey Peak every day is a big time thing. And I appreciate the work that's been done on that and the continued work and y'all being patient with my 10 million questions with all my little fairy tale ideas on how we can offset the use on the lake every day, guys. So I really appreciate all, I support it all, and yeah, thanks again.
Just same thing, thank you to the district for all of our work, bringing this before us, the city manager, and looking forward to taking this forward.
I think Joel said something important earlier. He said we're at decision day. We've heard about Turkey Peak for a long time. I just took another tour of the water plant just about 2 weeks ago. It's as good as it's ever gonna be. And to Matt and everybody that works out there, they're doing miraculous things to keep that plant even functional at this point. It was considered a 50-year water plant. We're a dozen years past that. And it's remarkable what they do and how the city council's been able to support them to keep that going. I'm just sitting here tonight and I'm thinking, we can do better. And we don't want to put this burden on our children, our grandchildren, succeeding generations. And what we're facing affects us next week, next month, next year. And so this situation calls for a decision. It's a hard decision. It's one that has not been taken lightly. But we can do better, and we can do it together. And I look forward to pursuing all that is before us. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will say thank you as well to our water district, to Mr. Huffman, Jason, Dean. There's, you know, I'd hate to even add up the amount of hours that have been spent, you know, working towards this, agonizing over it, making sure that everything is as it should be. But also in that process, it's been very, well, besides educational, you know, I see all of the different steps everybody is taking to work together, to protect each other, to make sure that these projects go forward no matter who's, you know, sitting up here as the council or in that city manager's seat or leading a project. But the checks and the balances and the insurances and the transparency that's all going to be in place, you know, that is the responsible, that we're responsible to provide those that are paying for these projects. You know, those are there, and I feel good about it. Moving forward, I'm excited to see what it all looks like. We still have some other things to do before, you know, ground actually breaks, but this is a big decision today. So thank you to everyone that has spent hours and hours part of this, and I'll let you wrap it up before budget council.
So, just one other point of reference to the council, and I said this before. So we have this drought situation and all this equipment that we're gonna have to bring in because it's expensive. We do have and will have some more draft language on that senior citizen homestead exempted rate adjustment for the seniors that own their homes in our community. But right now, I can't put that out and put it before you when we're facing a cost that will take every bit of this rate with regard to the RO. And if all the naysayers of the world have a crystal ball that'll tell me when it rains, I will bring it here sooner. But I can't afford to get that cart in front of the horse. We do have some of the information. We provided that to our city attorney. That'll be another topic on Monday. We do have legal context so that we know we can do that. To what extent we have to then visit with our rate consultant and how an adjustment for our seniors that have a homestead exemption on their property, what a reduced water rate for those people on that fixed income might look like as it relates to the rest of the rate, and how we absorb, again, what's in front of you now, and in that rate, 5-year rate study we're required to bring you every 5 years, that's like the worst. There's a rumor going around that we intend to stack a drought surcharge on top of these rates that are before you. That is absolutely false. We talked about that. You made a decision on which direction you wanted this budget to go, but I don't want to leave with that senior water rate that we talked about. It's just right now, in my opinion, till we get through this drought, figure out what we're going to do with this RO equipment, we need to take care of the necessity of keeping that 2 million gallons of water coming to town, because the lake situation hasn't improved, Gerald. So if you got a little bit of that turbocharged prayer, we'd like some of these showers just hang out. We got about 43 1/100ths of an inch in the watershed over the last 2 days. Not a single bit of runoff. Didn't affect the lake at all. It's going to take about 1.5 inches on the watershed before the ground will saturate, promote runoff. We'll have another drought engineers call like Howard and Jason and some of y'all have been in, and we'll get the latest update. But right now, we have to continue to prepare for the worst that is upon us, including, unfortunately, what's incorporated in these rates, but we will not stop seeking attempts to improve, get that rate down, funding assistance, this USDA, at least the offering when we turn our engineers loose to make that application is very promising because of the socioeconomic vulnerability index of our community. We do appear to be positioned well to qualify for some assistance. What we don't know is if we can use that on the construction cost of the lake. I don't think so. I really don't. Too far down the road, Texas Water Development's already involved. What we do know, and the guy that was here, and Howard can attest to that water treatment plant and the effluent reuse call, they were very positive. They were very pleased that we haven't started yet, so they can come in and tell us what eyes and stuff. And if what we were told in the initial briefing were true, once our engineers submit the application, they have about a 90-day turnaround to advance the consideration, and they can fund it potentially within 18 to 36 months, excuse me. So we could get that going and have, those two projects alone are about 50 million-ish. Quote me and they bash me on Facebook. I really don't care at this point, but let's say 50 million-ish. Well, if we can get that in half, now we're working on getting those rates down, but the biggest part of the water rate increase is the funds necessary to take on the debt for the dam. And there's no way to dance around it. There's no grants. We've talked about this till I'm tired of talking about it.
There's no further comments. There's an ordinance that's been prepared in the council packets. What's the pleasure of the council?
I move we adopt an ordinance amending Article 2, Chapter 90, Utilities, Section 90-54 and 90-55 of the Mineral Wells Code of Ordinance by revising water rates and rates for sewer service and providing an effective date.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes 7-0. Item number 5, consider and take appropriate action on an ordinance amending the master fee schedule and approving the master fee schedule submitted with the fiscal year 2023-2024 annual budget.
As you know, last year, we adopted a master fee schedule, which basically took all fees throughout the city and put them in one spot. It's been very efficient, very effective. Instead of looking through a nice 2 or 3 inch binder for all the fees. We did that last year throughout the budget workshop and budget seasons. We have amended and adopted some new ones, amended some rates and some fees therein. What lies before you is what was presented to you last week and throughout the budget season, and an ordinance to adopt the same, and it will be effective on October 1st, 2023. So if you have any questions, please.
And we talked about most of the changes at the last meeting, and there haven't been any significant or other since
No.
then, correct?
No.
Okay. I didn't see anything highlighted. All right. Any questions or comments from the council? What's the pleasure?
I make a motion that we approve an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Mineral Wells, Texas, adopting an amended Appendix D Master Fee Schedule of the Mineral Wells Code of Ordinances, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, and providing an effective date.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes 7-0. Item number 6, consider and take appropriate action on a raw water contract between the City of Mineral Wells and Holiday Hills Golf Course LP.
Yes, Mayor, members of the council. This has been a work in progress for a while. Probably late last year, the country club was informed by TCQ that there was some contracting and some issues related to that large lake that's beside the country club, the golf course building itself, whatever they're calling it now. And one of the issues had to do with an updated agreement between the city and the country club, or Holiday Hills Golf Course LP proper. They didn't have an updated agreement, and previously the district had always handled that. However, the water permit to Lake Mineral Wells is actually in the name of the city. So, working with Howard, and over the course of the past few months and weeks, we've been working on an agreement that will satisfy the TCQ and assist the golf course in moving forward. This agreement that's before you tonight is a raw water purchasing agreement. It's just for raw water only out of Lake Mineral Wells. It is for 150 acre feet of water annually. There are 200 acre feet of water that's permitted out of Lake Mineral Wells for an agriculture or a recreational purpose. So that's not to be confused with the municipal, and I've told you that Lake Mineral Wells is our absolute last resort fallback if we ever hit emergency level, which is roughly about 3-4 feet below where we are now, akin to where you were in 2014 and 15. Then we'll start some of the processes necessary to get that water. But the difference is they were not ROing in 2014. So we're gonna see how that works. But this is a take-or-pay agreement with regard and respect to the financial policies we discussed among the council. And one thing about the Lake Mineral Wells, it too has a lake level where it would shut off this, which is 857 feet. Akin to Lake Palapinto, that lake is at 858.16. So they have about a foot of water that they can use for that recreational agricultural purpose. To that end, there is a benefit to the city with it being agriculture and recreational in that it helps in our downwater release that we're required to send down with Brazos. So this is probably, what do you think, Howard, about 30 years the district was kind of running this, give or take? And so this is just a continuation of that, but for the water permit of the lake being in the city's name and just trying to tidy up whatever TCEQ wants. We want to make them happy. So that's what the purpose of this agreement is before you, and the staff would recommend your approval of this agreement as presented.
Questions, comments, discussion from the council?
I'd just say that, yeah, when I first looked at it, I know I've talked with a couple of y'all over this past several days on it, and that, yes, out of Lake Mineral Wells there, it's a total per a Texas Water Development Board study now, 5,461 acre feet when full. The city of Mineral Wells is only permitted for 2,520 acre feet, and we can use 200 for agricultural purposes, and the golf course is gonna be permitted to 150. So when I first saw that, I was kinda like, ooh, that sounds like a lot. But when I started looking into it, and then also find out kinda just like what you said there, Dean, just for knowledge of the citizens, that we also use Lake Mineral Wells since it is a tributary to the Brazos River, and so is Lake Palapinto. If a senior water right holding customer like Dow Chemical calls and needs water, instead of us having to use our raw water out of Lake Palapinto that we drink, we offset that and we will let the water out of Lake Mineral Wells so that we don't have to let go of our precious water that we drink. So that's just kind of information for citizens as well. But otherwise, after all my research, I really appreciate, once again, y'all fielding all my random questions. I have nothing else on it.
Anything further? Not, what's the pleasure of the council?
Make a motion, we approve raw water contract as presented.
No second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes 7-0. Item number 7, consider and take appropriate action on the appointment of members of the Mineral Wells City Council to serve as the Mayor's Advisory Subcommittee on Water Rate Affordability.
So somewhat related to how I closed the information about the water rate. At your request, Mayor, this is for your discussion and consideration to appoint a couple of members of the city council, less than a quorum, to serve, review, and make recommendations on water affordability moving forward. All of this relates to much of what I have expressed tonight. It is not solely limited to affordability for those people who may, think or feel or find themselves unable to bear some of the brunt of this rate, but additionally to work with staff and our rate consultants as we move ahead with what we really feel strongly are going to be some favorable conditions for adjusting, since the talk right now is that, well, these rates are never coming down. Well, I'm going to do my darndest to get them down as much as feasibly possible and still be able to build everything that you've needed for more than a decade now. So that was the purpose, Mayor, and so here's your item to do as you please.
Okay. Thank you. If there's, someone on the council that wants to step up, maybe, be a part of this, that hasn't been on the other water subcommittee.
I will.
Okay, thanks.
I'd love to.
You'd love to?
Somebody else.
Okay. And then, Beth, would you be willing to carry on that as well, since we've already had meetings in regards to that, with these two gentlemen? Beth? Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it, and I look forward to letting you bring back. Item number 8, consider and take appropriate action on a discussion and update on the 2021 street reconstruction project and the 6-inch and 12-inch water line extension project.
Good evening, Council and Madam Mayor, Mr. Sullivan. I sent in a few slides just to touch base on kind of the main points on this report. I believe you all have in front of you. I don't know if we're able to get it loaded on these screens or not. No, it's no big deal. I've got them right here, and I'll just touch on them. They're all included in this report, as I said. So we had 3 projects as part of this 2021 GO bond. We had the street reconstruction, which we grouped into Group A and Group B, and then that 6-inch and 12-inch water line extension near US 180 West. Just to touch base on all these, we did the professional services fee combined for Group A and B. We had $260,000 in there. That was for geotechnical investigation beforehand to figure out what kind of subgrade prep and what kind of compaction we needed to do for these roads. And then obviously the survey and design costs associated with that, bid administration fees, and then construction administration fees. And the original contracted construction costs of Group A was $1.345 million and Group B was $1.085 million. Looking at the original scope of work, we came in for Group A, it was completed back in March, so we have the 1-year warranty walk scheduled for March of 24 for that one, where they'll come back and obviously they'll fix anything that doesn't hold up within that 1-year warranty of their work. But we came in with a 1.4% decrease, so a slight credit back to the city of that 1.345 mil. 1.327 was installed, and that was just the underruns outweighing the overruns by just a small margin. And on Group B, it was the opposite. It was a 2% additional, so the overruns outrate the underruns just a little bit. It came in at 1.1 when the original cost was 1.08. For Group A, we did have some change orders for additional scope of work. Change order 1 was for replacement of an existing curb gutter and a drive approach that were determined in the field with myself and some of these public works guys. Scott can attest to it being in deteriorated condition, so we decided to replace that. Change order 2, it was for adding in a portion of the, if y'all remember, there was a grant project through the CDBG grant for Southwest 10th and 11th Street project that y'all know that one was originally awarded to Raytech. They defaulted. DFW Paving came in, took over, and finished it out for us. We decided, just because grant projects are tough to get any added scope of work, you gotta jump through hoops. We change ordered to continue from 10th all the way to 12th on that street as part of Group A. So that cost was added into Group A, and that's why it ended up costing a little more at the end. But we got all that roadway work done that we couldn't get done as part of the grant funding. And then change order 3 is just reconciliation change order, like I said, that condenses all those overruns and underruns. So Group A, street construction project, came in at 1.47 million final construction cost with all the change orders. And Group B original scope is complete as of late August. DFW Paving plans to do change order 2, which is adding those mill and replacement of those 3 roads. We had discussed Southwest 25th, Ellis White, and 12th. In those order of priorities, we're gonna add those in. He plans on starting next week on those. And I did bring it to Dean's attention. I think we'll be fine talking with DFW Paving. There's Texas procurement law that any contract over $1 million, you don't want to exceed by 25% in case it ever gets audited. Projecting out those 3 roads, we come in at, I think, 25.8% over, but Matt believes that he kind of lumps some of those costs. The head of the general contractor, he thinks we'll be able to get it done within that 25%. And the final prioritized road of those is 25th. We can adjust that, but talking with Scott, that's the last one we'll get to. So if we have to cut it just slightly short, that would be the one where we do that. And then finally, Fambro Construction is the contractor on the water line project. We got some 6-inch and 12-inch extensions there. A lot of bores, a lot of unforeseen conflicts. There was a gas company that changed from the time of when this project started to now. Now it's Colt Midstream. They did require some permit stuff. It delayed Fambro just a little bit on his bores, but they were all in all pretty easy to work with. But as you can see, that's the one where the projected final completion was for the end of September, so substantial is end of August. He does require, he's got about 2 weeks left to finish this last bore up Indian Creek Road towards 180. He believes he'll have all that bore and those tines done in 2 to 3 weeks, and then he said another 2 to 3 weeks from then to for final completion. It's just, you gotta pressure test, flush that line, and do the bacteriological testing. So that one, he is a few weeks behind schedule, but he's been talking with the public works guys, and I think they've been out there working diligently. Like I said, they encountered a lot of rock on some of these bores and just doing some of this stuff with the gas lines. It's kind of delayed them a little bit, but all in all, they're just 2 or 3 weeks behind. And DFW Paving for Group B, they're ahead. Their substantial completion date was October, and they're complete now, other than that change order work. So they'll be out of here by, he anticipates each of those roads taking a week each. Those 3 roads start next week, so they'll be out of here by early October. Same as Fambro Construction. And as far as the professional fees, I think I think y'all paid all invoices. The only one left is the 6-inch and 12-inch. I think we're 97% billed on it. We just got some closeout paperwork, and then that one will be completed. And I believe that's really all for these 3 projects. Y'all got any questions looking through this report? I'll try to answer them as best as I can. Like I said, I think they're all out there. Good contractors. They're doing their job. I know Scott and them have been pleased for the most part. So I think they'll both be wrapped up within a month's time, end of October. So
The projects that Landon was mentioning on Ellis White, Southeast 12th, and Southeast 25th Avenue, those are, if you recall back some time ago, those were those capital maintenance that was ill-defined in the bond proposal under the 2018 general obligation bond for this purpose. And we had previously brought to the council the definition of what that was and added these to the scope of the project. As far as the excess that Landon is talking about, we have incorporated that if it's necessary to keep it under the bond scope where we can absorb that within the general fund budget.
Oh, and I forgot to mention the kind of estimated out. I know Fambro, he's behind. He didn't get a pay app in for this month on the water line project, but projecting out with his underruns, and I think we took out an alternate that reduced about 550 to 600 foot of 6-inch water line on our contract drawings. So projecting out his cost, demobilization, all that, it would come in anticipated around 1.6 million, which is like a 17% decrease of the original scope, just kind of cutting some stuff out, and so that one's not anticipated to bill out that full contract amount.
Don't really have a question, but a comment. You mentioned
Yes, sir.
that the 1-year walkthrough on the Group A will be taking place pretty soon.
Yes, sir.
For the benefit of our citizens and a lot of people that don't pay a whole lot of attention while y'all are doing that walkthrough, would you bring some photos back when you bring a report of the 1-year walkthrough so we can show some of the citizens what all these contractors have been doing?
Yes, sir. I will get those as part of the punch list on that, and I'll get a report form for you.
I know that, a few of us travel around the city and go specifically to where we know work's been done, but a lot of our community is not aware because a lot of this was done in specific neighborhoods, maybe not necessarily on some of the more highly traveled roads, and I'd like the opportunity for them to see that work actually got done.
Yes, sir. Yeah, no problem.
I have one question on the 6 and 12-inch water line extension that, to the scope of work on that project was decreased. Would you expand on that a little bit?
So there was just a 6-inch water line. I know, Scott, you're aware, Richard, we had cut out where we were gonna bore across the street and tie in somewhere, and we ended up tying in earlier so that it wasn't needed.
On the west side of on the south side of Highway 1A, close to the liquor store.
So everything still functions for
Yes, ma'am.
the intended purpose that you were just able to,
It's just more efficient, so we didn't have to run out.
beautiful.
Able to work a valve somewhere that wasn't anticipated to be there, we could tie in shorter and cut some out, save some costs.
Good news.
Yes, ma'am. Anybody else have anything?
Any questions?
Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all's time.
Thank you.
Amanda.
No. All right, item number 9, future agenda items, a request by council members to be on the next agenda. Anyone have anything they wish to present? So we track items 10, 11, and 12 earlier. That leaves us 13. We're adjourned.